Hey guys, B Betrayer here, and today we're covering the F4U-4B, which is one of my favorite props in the game. You might recognize this as old footage if you've watched my free-to-play Golden Eagles grinding video, but I'm including it here again because it's just such an awesome dogfight. I had so much fun with this one, and I just wanted to play it back again. But let's just get right to the review. I don't think there's that much to say about this plane that hasn't already been said, to be honest. It's just a very strong airplane for 5.7. Good climb, good high altitude performance, excellent top speed, great roll, excellent flaps, low speed thrust, and stall performance. Its sustained and instantaneous turn rate as well as its turn circle are all pretty bad, especially when you consider that you have to fight some of the best dogfighters in the game. But if everyone at this BR is getting clapped by Spitfire LF Mark 9s and Yak 3Us in a turn fight, you might as well not spec into it at all and just go all in on speed and energy. It does compress somewhat at high speeds too, so if you're trying to force a high speed overshoot, you want to be at around 600 kph for a maximum instantaneous turn rate. It does kind of suck that they made the flaps auto-retract to only be usable below 380 kph, but for the most part they still do their job of letting you pull harder at lower speeds. And of course you have the funny landing gear air brake that never gets old. I do a much more in-depth breakdown and comparison of the different Corsair variants and their flight models in this video, so check that one out if you're interested in that. To top off your excellent flight performance, you have probably the best set of guns at this BR with an absurd amount of ammo. Great velocity, low drag, hits very hard, makes them very easy to snipe people at long range. I will say that I feel like the guns used to be a lot more accurate when I first played this plane a really long time ago, but these days they do have a fair bit of spread. Still, the guns as well as the rest of the package is excellent for 5.7. I don't know if I would call it overpowered, but it definitely feels a lot better than the Sea Furies and the Tempests. But this BR's balancing is a mess just like everywhere else, so let's just get into the playstyle. There's a lot of things that this plane can do, so in most situations it comes down to choosing the right option. You have the guns to push head-ons, you have the speed to boom and zoom and extend, you have the roll to defensive fly and force overshoots, you have the roll and the gear brakes to do diving scissors fights, you have the flaps and low speed authority to compete in stall fights. Obviously each one of these individual strategies only works on some of the enemies. You're not going to be able to extend away from a jet, and forcing overshoots or stall fights against a Spitfire will be very difficult, but because you have so many engagement options as well as a very good disengaging option with your high speed, for most fights you can confidently engage on your own terms and disengage if the situation gets disadvantageous. The only area where you can't really compete at all in is a pure turn fight or rate fight, as your turn circle and turn rate are still pretty bad. You do of course have to play somewhat passively, boom and zooming a lot against strong turners like A7M2s, Spitfires, and Yaks. But I mean, so do most other people, and you have the speed to disengage and re-engage. This can end up wasting a lot of time as you extend away to gain distance and energy, but that's just how the game is played sometimes. The teams at this BR for America also feel a lot more competent than at lower tiers. At the minimum, there's usually at least one other US player who knows enough to climb and not die immediately at the start of the match. And you also get paired with Britain and Russia often enough that you aren't always forced to be trying to solar carry. And in the occasion that your team does collapse, this plane definitely has the carry potential to win against the odds thanks to its speed letting you disengage, then deal with enemies in more manageable quantities rather than all at once.
Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Now here is an example of an unfavorable situation. You have a Spitfire that's above you. Currently I'm out of teammates, so I'm going to have to deal with him myself. The plan is to try and get him to dive on me. I'm not going to be able to get to him if he keeps climbing at high altitude. So what I want him to do is to commit to me and follow me all the way into this dive. If he does decide to follow me, then we're both going to end up at very high speeds, and because the Corsair has a much higher top speed and a much better linear energy retention, it means that once we are both on the deck and going at high speeds, he's going to bleed that speed away a lot faster when we're both traveling in the straight line. Now I thought he pulled off, but instead a different Spitfire decides to dive on me. So I guess the end result is exactly the same. We're both going at high speed. I noticed that the rockets were producing quite a bit of drag, so I dropped them. I was trying to get funny kills with them, but I kinda sucked too much to actually get them consistently, so not really worth having in this situation. Spitfire is getting uncomfortably close, but I should still be able to outrun him in the long run here. The engine does overheat a fair bit on WEP. I'm sure there's a way to use manual engine controls to cool it off, but honestly I was too lazy to figure it out. And now we are gaining quite a bit of distance on him, and it's very important in this specific situation that you make the right decision. One option is to hope that he continues following you while you extend away, until you're given enough space to turn around and give him a head-on. That still doesn't really put you at an advantage, since head-ons are usually a bit of a dice roll. Plus there's a good chance that the Spitfire will be able to turn around in time to be able to catch me on my exit. So what I'm doing here instead is I'm doing a very shallow climb. If optimizing for climb speed alone, the Spitfire definitely outclimbs the Corsair. But because the Corsair has a better linear energy retention and a better top speed, if we assume that both planes are going equally fast, there is a point at which the Corsair actually outclimbs the Spitfire. This is especially true if you're going past the enemy's level flight speed, since that's the fastest speed that they can maintain going in a straight line without climbing. And now that I can see that I have a distinct energy advantage, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and climb a bit more aggressively and bait him towards me. I want him to stay invested in this fight, and make it seem like he can catch up to me, but make it seem like the only way that he can achieve that is by flying level so that he can increase his speed instead of climbing, then try and pitch up underneath me for a stall shot. This should get him both close to me and also give me an opportunity to counterattack assuming that he fails that stall shot. But this is taking a little too long, and I think I do have enough of an energy advantage right now, so I'm going to actually just try and dive on him here. Obviously, the Spitfire can get away with doing some defensive flying because he has a tight turn. I'm just going to reset for another dive on him. This thing can boom and zoom very well thanks to its high top speed and linear energy retention. Gonna loop back down on him. He's going to do more evasive maneuvers. I just need to make sure not to commit too hard while forcing him to evade as much as I can. I have noticed that I am getting quite a few hits with these guns sometimes. I don't know why. I'm running the air target belts right now, which are 3/4 HE belts, so they should be doing quite a lot of damage. Anyways, just looping back down on top of him, I just need to be patient so that he runs out of energy with each one of these turns. I am kind of worried that one of the enemies is going to come and kill me, but so far we've been uninterrupted, which is nice. I'm also pretty low on fuel and ammo, so I'm just hoping to get this dogfight, and then I don't really care what happens after. Okay, he finally went down. So that was a really long and tedious process. Definitely not something that you can pull off in any sort of match. You really have to just be isolated in a 1v1 situation, and otherwise, Spitfires are a bit of a group project, so you gotta hope that you have a team left. Another very nice thing about the Corsair is that not only does it have carry potential when your team is completely obliterated, but you're also really good at exploiting advantages when your team is doing well, just because of how much killing potential your guns have and how fast you are. The enemies didn't climb nearly as much as they should have at the start of the match, so I'm free to take a few head-ons and then see how the match develops. Got a lot of friendlies up here as well, so it looks like we should be doing pretty okay. The F4U is going to be a bit of an issue, but hopefully one of the friendlies is able to take the bait of him trying to pitch up for me. Or he's not going to commit because he knows that he's going to stall out, giving me another opportunity to attack. Or I could alternatively go for the Spitfire, who seems like they're going pretty slow. Or actually I should probably go for the F4U since he's a more dangerous target right now. There are still some enemies at altitude that need to be dealt with, like the Talon 5-2 and Key 84, but I'm feeling pretty comfortable. We have a good number of teammates up here that also are in really good planes, so as long as I keep my share of the enemy distracted, then I should be doing okay. The F4U is getting close, but I should still have the energy advantage to be able to outrun him. And worst case scenario, if he seems like he's approaching me still, then I can just dive away. He's turned around for the Corsair, so I'm going to turn around for him. It is imperative that we try to deal with the F4Us either with an energy advantage or in a 2v1, since otherwise we're not really going to win a straight rate fight with him. Looks like the Corsair managed to blow something off of the F4U, so hopefully he should be doing okay there. I'm going to try and go for this Talon 5-2 instead, since he's coming straight for me. He dodges a bit upwards and then commits a bit late to the head-on. It was a bit of a risky shot, but the H1 has a pretty low velocity gun, so I was hoping I would be lucky there, and I was. He's in a flat spin, he's nothing to worry about anymore, so time to work on the enemies lower than us now. The F4U is still being a nuisance. I'm in a bit of a rate fight with this K4. I'm keeping an eye on that F4U just in case he decides to go for me, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to get to me, so I'm gonna go for this K4 instead. He reverses his turn to try and get away from the rest of us, but he's gonna have a lot of trouble doing so. I'm not quite able to pull in for the shot, but I'm going to be able to lower my throttle, drop my gear, and stay behind him. I'm kind of getting greedy for this kill. I know that there are a lot of friendlies around, and I just sort of want to finish him off. There we go. The Talon 5-2 that I crit is still flat spinning down to the ground, so I'm looking for the next best target to engage. Maybe the F4U, maybe the Key 84, but the ground pounders aren't really a priority, so I'm gonna go for the F4U. He shouldn't be able to outrun all of us. It looks like he's chasing after the F8F. Checking the scoreboard, we are doing quite well, but at the same time there's still a lot of enemies left. It is kind of interesting to see just how many of those are just ground pounding and not contributing to their team. Perhaps if they were also at high altitude helping their team, then they could have won this match, but despite how many enemies are left on their team, it looks sort of like a lost cause for them. He's very slowly approaching the F4U. He's definitely going to notice us, so we have to be prepared in the scenario that he tries to evade us. I'm just gonna try and use half of my guns to see if I can snipe him out. Or maybe just try and get a hit. Okay, he's turning. It doesn't look like he's going for a hard maneuver though, he's just diving at the moment. Oh, it looks like he's missing part of his elevator. And now he's missing both of his wings. There seems to be a few enemies heading this way. The HE-162 is the biggest concern because he is one of the few enemies that I don't outrun, and he also does dogfight pretty okay. Especially if he knows how to use his flaps and his speed. So I just want to head on him and get him out of the match. It looks like he's doing his best not to commit. But now I have to go for that Key 84 since he's also pretty close. That Key 84 also seems to be missing both of his wings, but is somehow flying. The J7 isn't heading towards us, so I can turn back and see if I can knock one of these two guys out. At this point, it's a race against my friendlies to see who can kill these guys first, because we have quite a lot of people here. Just gonna see if I can get some snipes in long range. Ooh, 1 kilometer snipe. And he's in a flat spin now. That's an assist, that's okay. Let's just try and get this HE-162 out before he can RTB. Luckily, there is an F8F to distract him and make him turn, so that we might be able to catch up to him here. Or I guess not. Our team's doing a really good job of cleaning up. So now let's see if we can take out some of those ground pounders. There's still 4 enemies left on their team, so there's still quite a lot to go around. Heading to the middle of the map, I encounter this J7W. Should be a fairly easy kill as long as I don't die to his head-on guns. He's probably RTB from ground pounding a lot, so he's probably also pretty low on ammo, which means that I don't really have anything to be too worried about. And clearly he does not want this engagement. One of the other J7Ws crashes, so that's 3 enemies left on their team. I'm also pretty low on ammo, so I do want to conserve it a little bit in case I do run up against one of the other enemies. My friendlies missed their shot. I'm also missing my shots. Let's see if I can stick on behind him again. Wow, my friendly is missing a lot of shots. There we go, that should do it. Almost get into a mid-air collision there. And as much as I would like to go after this MB326, he is going way too fast for any of us. So it's time to turn around and see if I can find the other last person, or just RTB and rearm. It's some sort of a base bomber, so I shouldn't be too concerned. But they do have 1 kill. I think it might be a JU-288. Later on, I do find out that it was a JU-288. I land and take off. The MB-236 is nowhere to be found, so I do a little bit of ground pounding because we're losing on tickets, and I find that after he base bombed, he went for one of the friendlies that was landed on the short airfield. So I take a quick head-on with him, and the guns don't quite do as much as I wanted them to. Somehow all of my friendlies have died. I don't know how that happened. I think one of them died to the JU-288, but now it's really just me and 1 bomber left. He's the last enemy on their team though, so I take a lot of pot shots. I just really want him to die so that we can end this match. But maybe he's running low on fuel or something, or maybe he's getting a lot of drag from the fuselage damage that I gave him, but he's actually slowing down very slowly. I am wasting a lot of ammo trying to shoot him down from this range though. And at this closure rate, I'm not sure if I'll actually be able to get to him before he reaches his airfield. Because we're getting pretty close. I'm doing my best to just tap fire, but none of these shots are hitting. But perhaps he felt like he was going to get caught up eventually and he wasn't going to make it back, so he ends up J'ing out. Not the most satisfying way to end the match, but I'll take it. I've got to say, playing American planes and actually having a functional team feels really nice. It is kind of interesting how this plane doesn't really get mentioned as often as something like the Spitfire LF Mark 9s and the Yak-3Us when we're talking about broken planes at 5.7 in the discussion. Maybe the playstyle isn't quite as intuitive as just turn and burn, but matches like this where you get a partial down tier, and none of the enemies climb means that you have basically free reign to just completely dunk on the entire enemy team. Okay, I guess I spoke too soon. There is a Tawan 5.2 at altitude. He could be a pretty concerning target considering he does turn very well if he knows how to use his flaps. So ideally I kill him here in the head-on. Also a 109, but I'm not too scared of him if I'm able to get a 1v1 with him, or the Focke-Wulf that's below me. He does the right thing and dodges fairly early, but he didn't counterfire, so I'm able to recommit to the fight. I'm not quite able to pull my nose in. There's a Focke-Wulf coming in, so I'm gonna have to head on him as well. He was turning, so I don't quite lead him well enough. And there are still quite a few enemies that could be a concern if I do get stuck in a dogfight, so I'm going to extend away a little bit and see how the situation develops. It does look like the Focke-Wulf is turning back for a fight, so I guess I'll give it to him if he gets close enough. And let's be honest, that thing is just my plane but worse in every single way, so it's going to be a pretty easy kill. I don't know if I have enough energy to get away with this, but let's just try and see if I can get him to stall up for me. Okay, it looks like he's turning up maybe a little bit. Full flaps, gonna try and turn directly on top of him now. And yeah, he's not gonna be able to pull up for me, so I should be able to get on his 6 very easily here. Not quite able to get an angle on him, but I'm gonna lower throttle so that I can stay behind him. Again, not quite able to get there. Let's deploy the flaps and try and stick on him. And I missed by a little bit. Good thing I'm still on his 6 though, and I should be able to climb up for him thanks to this thing's excellent low speed thrust, as well as the flaps. There we go. Next target to go for is that BF-109. I'm glad he did not come for me while I was taking out this 190. Checking the leaderboard, and there's still quite a lot of enemies left and not that many friendlies, so this could be a potentially high kill match. But for now, let's focus on the target at hand. Let's go for the head-on. We both dodge each other's shots, but it looks like he doesn't recommit quite in time, and I'm able to scrape him because he takes a very unlucky line straight into my guns. And I'm not really seeing anybody else at high altitude, so I'm just gonna go for this A7. He seems like he's ground pounding, so he should be a fairly easy target, as long as he doesn't notice me, but if he does notice me and plays defensive, then he could be really annoying to try and kill. There's a C-Fire here as well. 2 targets that are very slow and turn very well. Not quite able to get an angle on the C-Fire. I'm straight behind the A7, and I should be able to get a shot here while he turns around. I'm just gonna try and lead this head-on, and get the shot on him before he's even able to pull in. I have plenty of energy, so I should just be able to loop on over the C-Fire. And if he attempts to stall up for me, it's just going to make himself a very easy target for me. Here he comes. As long as he doesn't snipe me from 1 kilometer, then I should be able to get him here. Or maybe this LA7 will get him for me. Or I guess not. Nice, that is a triple kill, because the Focke-Wulf 190 finally goes down from his flat spin. Last 2 enemies are a JU-288 and an HE-162. The 162 has opted to run to his airfield. I'm pretty sure the HE-162 is good enough to at least attempt a dogfight against the Corsair. At least if he knows how to use his flaps, but most people just sort of play it like an F104, which is rather unfortunate. So at this point, I'm just sort of hoping that he comes around and I can kill him in a head-on, because it doesn't look like he's ever going to come back for a dogfight at least. Here he comes, head-on time. Let's see if I can get the shot off. And he's able to shear my entire right wing off. I guess I can't really blame him for airfield camping, because, I mean, a lot of his team was just bombers and ground pounders. I lost that head-on, so I guess I'm RTB. This thing is actually surprisingly flyable with only 1 wing. And that guy manages to crash somehow, so it's just the JU-288 left. I don't know how though, but on this map it seems like the tickets are bleeding even if there are no strike aircraft. I thought they had fixed this for most maps. Nobody on our team is ground pounding. So we end up losing on tickets even though I tried to ground pound as many as I could after I took off. But I guess sometimes it just be like that. Now you're not going to get matched with competent teammates every single match, and sometimes you get teammates like this. Nobody is here up at altitude with me, you check the scoreboard, half of them are already dead. And I'm just sort of forced to run. There's nothing really I can do against a Hornet if he's also backed up by a bunch of enemies that can outturn me as well. The Hornet does pull off, so I'm going to try that same strategy that I used on the Spitfire on this TAN 5.2. I'm going to climb very shallowly, since I know that the TAN 5.2 doesn't climb that well, nor does it go that fast. Obviously this does take quite a long time, but I don't want to get caught up in a dogfight against a 152H1 where he can use his flaps and just straight outturn me and outrate me. This seems about enough of an energy advantage that I should hopefully be able to get above him. I'm not certain. He could try and use his flaps to just try and stall up for me, but I'm pretty sure that the TAN 5.2 doesn't do that well in the vertical. He's getting very close, but it doesn't look like he's quite able to get his nose on, so I'm just going to be able to survive, loop back down, and then see if I can get a shot on him. Nice, there we go. He seems a little upset. I can kind of understand that, but at the same time, he was the one who sort of chased me all the way back here. If he wanted to, he could have turned back and let me re-engage a lot faster. Okay, so my team didn't leave me with a completely unsalvageable situation. There's an LA-9 and an AD-4 that are ground pounding, and I have 5 enemies left that I have to deal with. I do have the ticket advantage thanks to the ground pounding, which means that there's going to be a bit more pressure on the enemies to come after me if they do end up killing the other 2. Now, it would probably be the smart thing to do to RTB and rearm because I'm very low on fuel right now, but I was thinking that maybe I could use this altitude advantage as well as the ammo that I have left to maybe get 1 or 2 kills before I RTB'd. It's going to be a bit of a risk. I could get caught out with no fuel in a dogfight, so this could end pretty poorly, but I wanted to see if I could do anything, especially considering I had just been running for the last 10 minutes. And now that I'm here, I don't think the enemies see me quite yet. The AD-4 was able to spot all of these enemies before he went down, so I'm kind of thankful for that, even though it was probably unintentional. I was going for the F4U, but I think the Spitfire might be going for head-on here, so I'm going to take it. I want to try and recommit for him, but I'm not quite able to pull in for him. And this is a pretty horrible spot to be in. But I do have more energy than them right at this moment, so I might be able to outstall the Spitfire and then loop back down on top of him, as long as the F4U isn't quite able to get to me. This is a very inconvenient cloud placement, but I might be able to just get him here. Okay, that's 1 down. F4U next. If I'm unable to get him though, the Hornet is probably coming after me, so it's very risky to stay here for too long. Just getting my lead down, and unfortunately only hits again. At this point I just need to extend. If it was just me and the F4U, then I might be able to do something against him, similar to what I did with the Talon 5.2, but I can't be certain, so while I do climb, I'm going to vector towards myself. I can't be certain, so I'm going to vector towards my airfield in case the Hornet decides to show up and I need to just book it. Yep, there he is. Very convenient hole in the clouds to let me spot him, so I'm just going to RTB because I'm very low on fuel now. Hornet isn't really taking an aggressive dive on me, so I should be able to get back to base pretty easily. Okay, I'm back up again, and I'm looking for the F4U that seems to be ground pounding. It wasn't too hard to find him since he emits big red tracers every single time he fires out the ground. I'm coming in with a lot of speed and energy, and he's been ground pounding, so he's probably pretty slow. So after this pass, if I need to, I'm just going to go vertical. I commit a little hard to that head-on. I'm able to get a crit on him, though. And hopefully from this, I should be able to get a very easy follow-up shot. A weird twinge of packet loss made my plane twitch. I got a little scared there, but he might turn underneath me, which might give me a hard shot. That just means I need to pitch back up and go for another run. I'm actually taking a much more horizontal and aggressive turn here because I think that he might be very damaged already, so it's not going to be too hard. And there he goes. I'm glad I was able to take him out quickly because there's still 2 enemies left, the Hornet and the Talon 5.2. I'm going to have been spotted for that long period of time, and that Hornet has found me very easily. I'm just glad that I was also able to spot him in return, before he was able to get too close to me. So I'm going to do a shallow climb to regain a little bit of energy while also keeping my speed up. If he dives on me, I want some speed to be able to reverse him. Now, I'm not that great of a dogfighter to begin with, but I am trying to learn, and one person has been trying to help me to learn how to do a reversal properly. Before I would try and do a lot more split S's and turn a lot earlier, but I'm going to try and bait him a lot closer and then turn to the side once he gets close and then pitch up so that he gets a hard shot. And since he's diving and coming in with a lot of speed, he's going to compress a bit and make it hard for him to turn in for the shot. Or at least that's the theory behind it. I would assume it depends on what planes you're fighting. Some planes compress less than others. And I feel like it's a bit of a risk considering the enemy might just lower throttle and try and stick behind you. So it's a little scary. I'm still not quite used to it, but I'm trying to see if I can get more practice in by getting these kinds of shots off. I'm going to hope that I can pull the same thing off against this Talon 5.2. If I recall correctly, it should be a C3, so in a straight dogfight, I should definitely be able to win against it, especially at these low altitudes. So I'm going to wait for him to get a little closer. He's approaching very slowly. Okay, here he comes. He's pitching down onto me. I'm starting the turn now. Okay, it looks like I wasn't quite able to pull out of his nose there. does also look like he throttled down because he's going pretty slow right now. That does seem to be the weakness in this strategy. But let me know if I did something wrong there. There were probably safer ways to engage him, especially considering his airframe is not that good. Still a pretty fun match. Got a lot farther than I thought I would, especially considering the competition I was up against. Just a bit of a shame that it had to end that way. Now I took a 2-hour break to go work on the F-16A video, and what do you know, it looks like the same two enemies are still here, playing the exact Hornet plus Ta-152C3 squad. Lots of enemies up here at altitude, but I do also have a fair few friendlies up here as well, so I shouldn't be completely forced to run away at the start of the match. I'm actually comfortable enough to see if I can go after some of these enemies. But somehow all of the fight devolves down to lower altitudes. The Hornet is still up there, but it would be a waste of time and effort for me to try and climb up there if he's going after somebody else. There are a lot of enemies down here at low altitude, so I'm going to see if I can boom and zoom. The biggest threats I'm thinking right now are the Spitfire and the F4U. The 109s don't concern me too much since I can 1v1 them pretty easily without having to spend 10 years trying to set up an energy trap. That's one Spitfire down. The F4U is coming for me, but I can't set up for him, so I go for the K4 instead, and ooh, he nicks my engine. Considering that one of this plane's main advantages is how much engine power it produces, this is not a good sign. It's not too damaged right now, but it is leaking, so I won't be able to sustain this fight in the long term. Luckily, I did come in with a lot of speed, so right now I should be able to just loop on over them. And I need to choose my target carefully. I'm thinking the Spitfire is probably the best option. He's actually pitching up for me right now. Ooh, it's a Mark 24. I only get a hit again. I guess I'm just getting really unlucky, and every single time I'm hitting them with the EP belt. But at this point, I have bled enough energy that I don't have enough of an advantage to just climb straight over them. I do still outrun them right now, but I don't know for how long my engine's going to be able to hold up. Oh, and here comes that C3 again. I didn't quite have the time to set up for this. I'm just gonna try and turn underneath him. Ooh. Okay, this time I got lucky and they didn't get shot. He's overshot. He's extending away. I might be able to get a shot on him here. Nope, let's try from 0.9 kilometers. And just more hits. I guess I'm just getting really unlucky. When they work, these guns love to absolutely obliterate the enemies. But the Ta-152, even if it doesn't have that high of a top speed, it does have a really good linear energy retention, so it's going to be able to outrun me for quite a while. And I don't have quite a while, so I'm going to turn back and see if I can help my teammates deal with some of the other enemies. There's a Key 84 in the area, so he should be able to dogfight the 109 pretty easily. That Spitfire looks pretty damaged, but there is another 109 at high altitude that's coming for us. So we need to take care of the 109 and the Spitfire before the other 109 gets to us. Checking the scoreboard, there's still quite a lot of enemies left, and this Key 84, the Key 83 that's high altitude, dealing with the Hornet are the only two friendlies that I have left. This 109 seems to be going after the Key 84, so hopefully I'll be able to maneuver on his 6 and get a shot on him. Yeah, he's completely ignoring me for some reason. That Spitfire looks like he's going to RTB, but we really don't have a choice here but to let him go because we have to deal with these two. Not quite able to get a shot on the G10, but the Key 84 is going after him, so I might be able to get a shot on this 109K4. Okay, nice. The Key 84 should be able to deal with the 109 pretty easily. It is just that plane but better, especially at this altitude, so I'm going to RTB to fix my engine. So the Key 84 was able to take out that 109, and the Key 83 was able to take out the Hornet at high altitude, and now this Ju-288 that was pretty close to our base. I've taken off while my friendlies are currently landing on the short airfield, so I need to distract this Ta-152 and make sure that he does not go after my friendlies. I'm turning my wing smoke on so that hopefully he sees me and tries to go after me instead of the friendlies that are currently at the airfield. It seems like he's taken the bait, so I'm going to try and go for a dodge here. The longer this fight goes on, the more likely I am to win because this plane does just outperform the C3. So my focus right now is to just try and survive as long as I can. He's gonna boom and then he's gonna extend, and then I'm gonna climb after him, and this should be where I should eventually be able to catch him, whether I outclimb him or outrun him. His energy advantage is temporary, so I'm going to try and maximize the amount of energy that I gain right now by going for an absolute climb. These clouds are being really annoying. I'm hoping that he doesn't turn around and try to find me in these clouds, because if I get jump scared in this situation, that's going to be really annoying. Luckily, it looks like he's still extending away, and now our energy is about equalized. I'm actually catching up to him, so this is the only chance that he really has to try and kill me, since after this point my energy is going to be much higher than his. I tell my teammates that I should be able to deal with this guy and that they should go after the Spitfire that's left. I'm not really sure what the Spitfire is doing or where he is. It's very possible that the Spitfire is coming after me since this Talon 5.2 should be spotting me for him. He's trying to pull in for the head-on. I'm not sure if he'll quite be able to turn in for this. I think I might have led a little bit too much there. Anyways, I'm gonna go up, and if he tries to follow me, then he's going to be screwed. However, he decides to go down, which I guess is the smart thing to do since all he really can do at this point is run and then try and force an overshoot. Or I guess he's gonna decide to be annoying by sticking in the clouds. That Spitfire is approaching very quickly, so that is concerning. It looks like the Talon 5.2 is full sending it up into the vertical. This should pretty easily give me the advantage. I highly doubt that he'll be able to follow me up this way. Looks like he saw the writing on the wall and he's diving away now. But I should be able to get him here, just so long as I don't overshoot. If I need to, I'll lower throttle and I'll drop my gear. Okay, I'm lowering throttle. Gear is out. I'm sorry for subjecting you to this aim, but I swear I'm really trying here. Talon 5.2's good linear energy retention is probably not helping very much. Finally get a crit at least. Okay, finally he goes down. Now let's see what the Spitfire's up to. QD4 hasn't died to him yet, so that's good. If he manages to drag him down, then I might be able to help. Wow, he is really keeping up with him quite well. I don't know how long he'll be able to sustain that though. I'm intentionally flying with my smoke on so that maybe the Spitfire goes for me and the QD4 can finally get on his 6, but the Spitfire seems fully invested on the QD4, so I'm gonna go in for a shot. I'm genuinely surprised how the QD4 managed to keep up with the Spitfire for that long. Oh, it was the Mark 24. If it were the LF Mark 9, the QD4 probably would have had a much harder time, but looks like the QD4 did all the hard work and I just sort of came in and stole it. The Arado bomber decides to crash, so once the Spitfire burns up, this match should be over. It did only give me a hit though, so this could just be a fuel fire. He might put it out, so I'm going to turn back and see if I can secure the kill. Ooh, not great. The QD4 got shot by him. And this is a bit of a risk taking a head-on with an already damaged plane, but I was thinking, hey, why not? I should probably be able to kill him. He takes a severe, but he's still flying. He's damaged enough that I should be able to just loop on over him without him being able to climb and pitch up for me, so this should be game over. If I could lead my shots. There we go. He's going a lot slower than I expected. So that was a pretty satisfying match. Again, I really like this plane and how much it has going for it. And the amount of people that you can surprise with your dogfighting potential is honestly quite a lot of fun. And it's just nice to have an American plane that can carry if it really needs to. Especially after having played all the lower BRs where it's much harder. But that'll be all for now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
I break my leg yesterday playing basketball. And I got this attention-seeking goofy right here pretending he feels my pain, bro. Stop playing with me, bro. Get up, bro. You a clown, gang.